Hello everybody, welcome back to More Than a Face. If you're new to my channel, my name is Erin. Today I'm doing this purple halo eye. I wanted to do something a little bit more dramatic and kind of simple on the lips. Without making this intro too long, I hope you guys enjoy. So first things first, I'm using my Too Faced Shadow Insurance as a primer, and I'm going in with Beaches and Cream. Well, am I? I don't know. Yep, I'm going in with Beaches and Cream. And I'm setting my eyes with that color. Doing this helps make sure that anything I put in my crease is going to blend better and it's not going to stick too much to the primer. So I'm just packing this all over my lid. And then I'm going in with this matte light purple color. It's called Vintage, and I'm using this as my transition shade since it's like a pinky purple. I don't want to go too warm or too cool with a brown because I want to keep it all just nice and flowy and all that good stuff. So I'm putting this in my crease on both of my eyes, and shout out to all my allergy sufferers. I know you know this feeling. Next I'm taking the color Curfew. It's a dark purple, and I'm packing this on with a Real Techniques blending brush. And I'm doing this because halo eyes are pretty diffused. So you really want to take your time packing on and blending these colors, and if I went in with a flat brush it would just create a really harsh line. So I'm really taking my time and building up this color with a fluffy brush. That way it makes my blending a lot easier. So once I'm done packing on the color on my inner corner and my outer corner, that's when I take the leftover pigment and I kind of connect the two in my crease. And what this is going to do is just create more of that blended effect, but not too much. So you really want to emphasize the deepness in the corners, and then you want the crease to be a little bit lighter. So I'm doing the same on the other eye, and keeping in mind it's totally okay to like take breaks in between, and making sure that your shape is consistent with both of your eyes. So that's why I'm kind of like pausing and looking back and forth in the mirror, because it really does help make sure that nothing's too high or too low and it's all in the same place. And now with my Royal & Langnickel little tiny shader brush, I'm packing on that purple. And since the since the brush that I'm using is so small and densely packed, it's gonna make sure that that color goes on exactly where I'm placing it. So since I already used the fluffy brush to blend out and diffuse the color, it makes placing this even easier and creating depth more precise. And then blending it out again with that same brush. I didn't add any product to it, I'm just blending it out. So doing the same exact thing on the other eye and making sure that I'm looking down into the mirror so I can see where my crease is, and I know not to go higher than my orbital bone, which is that little line that you see in the middle of my eye, well, in the middle of my lid. And there I am, just double checking, make sure everything's precise. And using the Persona palette, I'm taking the dark brown actually. I didn't want to use a black because it felt like it would have been too harsh, but the brown was just adding depth to the look without really adding color. So you can't really see the brown because it's blending in with that more vibrant purple underneath it. So this is just going to make the eye look even deeper and bring the lid out even more. Doing the same thing on the other eye, making sure I'm really careful with my placement. and not putting too much product on the brush or else it's gonna look too brown. I guess I could have used a dark purple, but using brown just kind of seemed nicer because it was adding like a different color to the scheme that I have going on in my eyes. And now I'm going to start working on the lids. So I'm taking that light pink color, which is called Cinderella. It's a shimmery shade, and a flat shader brush. And I'm packing this color onto the lid where I didn't put any of the matte shades. And also taking the color Sensuous. It's a shimmery purple color, and I'm using that to kind of blend the matte shades into the shimmer that I have on my lid. It's just going to create easier blending if I'm using a shimmer with a shimmer. The textures are the same. And going back in and blending again, because you do lose some of that blending when you work in other places. And packing on Cinderella again. A halo eye is pretty repetitive, I'm not going to lie. Since you're doing so much blending, sometimes you tend to take off some of the color that you packed on, so you have to go back and forth. And now I'm taking my concealers. These are the NYX Studio HD concealers. And I take the lighter shade closer to my eye, and the shade that matches my skin color underneath that. So when I blend it all together, I'll have more of a seamless transition in between the shades. And I'm putting concealer on my chin, my nose, and my forehead, just so that we're not highlighted only under our eyes. I like doing this step before my foundation. I feel like it helps it blend easier. I'm using this Royal & Langnickel flat synthetic brush to blend out my concealer and to place it where I want. I do this instead of using a beauty blender, that way I don't lose any of the product, and then I'll just blend it on the outer parts when I'm finished, putting the product where I want it. And as you can see, using the two different colors just kind of blended everything out really nicely. And I cut the corner of my shadow a little bit, and I'm using my beauty blender to blend out all the other spots on my face. I like doing concealer before foundation. I feel like it just blends a little bit easier. And I don't think I used a primer this day because I knew I wasn't going to be wearing it all day. So a primer is optional. Next, I'm using my Maybelline Fit Me and my Smashbox Studio Foundation. And I'm mixing them together mostly because I wanted a more matte finish. And the Smashbox foundation is a little bit too light for me right now, so. And I'm taking this, it's actually a bronzer brush by Royal & Langnickel, but I really like how it blended out my foundation and applied it. I feel like it gave me really nice coverage. Sometimes I use a beauty blender, sometimes I use a brush. It really just depends on the foundation and what kind of application I want that day. But I'm just blending everything out. Now with my powder brush by e.l.f. and my NYX No Filter setting powder, I am setting my foundation in place. This is a really nice powder, by the way. And with my NYX contour palette, I'm taking the yellow powder and a Wet n Wild brush, and I'm setting my under eye concealer with the yellow color because it's lighter than the face powder that I used. And trying to decide which bronzer shade I'm going to use / jamming out. I don't even know what I was listening to. I'm going to contour with the cooler shade, the lighter cooler shade. And I'm contouring my forehead, my 5 head actually. That thing is huge, girl. It's crazy. And I'm contouring the other side. And doing a slight nose contour with the same color and a random little unnamed blending brush that I have. So using a thin synthetic tapered brush, I'm going to apply the darker purple onto my inner and outer third of my lower lash line. So this is going to mimic the shape that I have on my top lid. And the flat shader brush just to pack it on even more and build up the intensity. And closer to my lash line, I'm applying more of the product. That way I don't lose all of the blending that I just did with the other brush. So I cleaned off that brush and I'm going in with the color Shimma Shimma and White Lies. I'm using the white to build up the intensity and then the Shimma Shimma to create a shimmer on my inner corner, and then my Physicians Formula eyeliner. Now I left in this clip because sometimes the product gets kind of clogged up and you can just kind of use the inside of the cap to separate that shadow that got onto the brush. And I'm doing like a really thin line because I just want definition on my lash line. I don't necessarily want like a winged liner because I don't want to disrupt the shape that I just created. And I'm using this Maybelline eyeliner, which terrifies me every single time I do this. I get so ticklish, it's terrible. And I'm putting that in my tight line just to make my lashes look a little bit better. And then I'm taking that same eyeliner and in my outer and inner thirds, I'm lining that a little bit just to continue with the shape in my lash line. And for lashes, I'm taking my Duo Lash Glue and Salon Perfect. They're like the long wispy ones. They come in a 5-pack at Walmart. And I'm applying my eyelashes with my tweezer like I always do. And I always look down into a mirror. That's important. That way I can see what I'm doing. And to bring my natural lashes together with the false lashes, I'm using my Maybelline Falsies. This just helps everything kind of stick together. And I'm putting mascara on the inner part of my lashes because I like to keep a little gap there so that the lash band doesn't poke me in the eye. And then just going back in with the liner and making sure that all the glue is covered. And I'm curling my lashes again just to bring everything together. So I'm using Benefit's Sunbeam and directly applying this to the Beauty Blender, and I'm putting this on top of my foundation. Doing this disrupts the foundation a little bit less. And you know your highlight's on fleek when you make this face. Like, you know you're doing something right. So I'm just continuing to blend that out. And I'm putting on my Boozy Brunch by Wet n Wild highlighter on top of that. I just absolutely love this for my yellow undertone people. Yes. And I die every time I look at my highlighter. Like, how could you not? I just feel like J-Lo every time I put highlight on my face. And placing that on top of my brows like Auntie Jackie Aina, she taught me that. I love her. Putting the shimmer on my Cupid's bow, and I'm taking this small Wet n Wild brush with the same Boozy Brunch and just putting that underneath my... So now with my Lorac lip gloss in the color Goddess. I love this stuff. It was just a nice little neutral touch, but still kept with the purple theme. Here comes Quote of the Year by Me, Myself, and I. Like, I absolutely... This stuff is to die for. Seriously.
Alright, so that's the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a comment below if you have any suggestions for future looks or anything like that. Anything you guys want to see, just let me know. I'll hook you up. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about how to do a halo eye. I will see you guys next time.